This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the 2022 HP Envy16. So as you might guess, now we have a 16-inch 16 by 10 aspect ratio display for this, well, large, shall we call it, Ultrabook with more power than Ultrabook would ever have. It's kind of creeping over towards gaming laptop territory, but it's really geared towards creative work of any kind. Whether you're doing video or photos or, gosh, 3D printing, all those sorts of things too. And what I like about the Envy is that it's not so gosh darn expensive as the Spectre series, while it's still being classy, aluminum clad, and it actually has useful legacy ports like 2 USB-A and an HDMI 2.1. So it's kind of a functional elegance. We're going to look at it now. So whether you're in the market for a new smartphone, a laptop, or tablet, you need some kind of protection, and that brings in our video sponsors, Trend Micro Premium Security Suite. So, you don't just have one device or one member of your family necessarily. That's why one subscription gets you coverage for 10 devices. So the kids, the spouse, you got it. You got your phone, you got your laptop, all that sort of thing. And it's an all-in-one solution as well. So sure, it does lightweight antivirus protection, doesn't slow your device down, whether it's a mobile device or a Mac or a PC. And you've also got identity theft protection on board. You've got Wi-Fi checking and a VPN, which is handy. So in case you're one of those lucky people who still gets to go out to a Starbucks or wherever it is and do some work, you want to use a VPN to keep your data secure while you're doing it. And it's got Fraud Buster for, those rogue text messages we all get these days. You get a message that looks like it might be legit should you follow that link. And it's got a password manager built in too, so no more having to juggle multiple apps to take care of these things. Be sure to use our promo code and visit the link in the description to find out more. Now back to our video. So what does it bring to the table beyond this functional or convenient elegance that really just characterizes what the Envy is? Well, you've got a couple of neat things here. You have a 2.5K resolution display IPS 120 Hertz option, so that's 2560 by 1600, or a 4K OLED option, which is, again, a little bit taller, so it's 3840 by 2400 pixel resolution, and that one's a 500 nit display, but only 60 Hertz. Both of those obviously are lovely displays. It depends on your goals for things like battery life and how much you want to pay for how much pixel density. But on top of that, we actually have 45-watt H-series Intel 12th gen processors here, Alder Lake. So this is powerful. This is not Ultrabook set of CPUs here. As usual with HP, you can go Core i5, Core i7, Core i9. We have the Core i7. I think that's kind of the sweet spot if you can afford it, because you get more performance there without the diminishing returns of a Core i9, especially in a fairly slim chassis, where even though HP has redesigned the cooling, better fans, better fan blades, all that sort of thing, it's still a fairly slim chassis. For graphics, you have your choice between that new Intel Arc GPU for mobile here, and that is the 370M, and a NVIDIA RTX 3060 option, which is what we have, which is the more performant. Now, Intel Arc GPUs aren't everything everybody hoped they would be so far, but they're probably a little bit easier on battery life for those who don't need that kicker GPU performance, or you want to spend a little less money. It starts around $1,400 list price. That's a Core i5 with an Intel Arc GPU inside, by the way, and the 2.5K display, which isn't bad for what you're getting here. And our model is around $1,650, $1,700 or so, Core i7, 4K, well, you get the idea there. So when it comes to RAM, we actually have RAM slots here, again, making this more of a power user's laptop. That's nice. You can upgrade it yourself if you wish to afterwards. Base configuration has 16 gigs of RAM and adds 4800 megahertz DDR5 RAM, dual channel, or you can get it with 32 gigs if you want from the factory as well. In theory, you should be able to go up to 64 since you have two slots. We have an M.2 SSD on board, and today's SSDs are pretty quick. The performance on this one was quite good. You can go up to 2 terabytes of storage, or just upgrade it yourself afterwards, whichever you prefer. And we have Wi-Fi 6E for this year's model, so the latest and greatest Wi-Fi spec, and that's an Intel AX211 card with Bluetooth 5.2. So good stuff. So what about actually using the laptop? And by the way, this is a conventional laptop. It doesn't 360 or anything. HP has the HP Envy X360 line, and we'll be reviewing the 2022 model of that soon as well. Well, you've got a really good keyboard. It's funny because it's not very deep travel, but it doesn't feel like, you know, it's your finger joints are compressing or ouchy or anything like that. And it's very tactile. So I found that I typed very well despite the fact of short travel. The only thing is always with HP, there are two things I always ding HP for is you got a light silver keyboard deck. So when the white keyboard lighting kicks in and you've got middling light, you know, not if it's really dark, then it's very visible, the backlighting. But if it's that kind of in-between thing, it can be a little hard to see. The other thing is HP has the glossiest display, so keep that in mind. There is plenty of glare from this display. If you work in really bright environments all the time, it will probably derange you. If you have more soft-lit environments, you probably won't be bothered by that. Trackpad on this is large. It's Microsoft Precision. It works fine. No complaints about that. Now, in terms of heat and noise, again, like I said, every year all manufacturers are working on improving in terms of what the material of the fan blades is made out of, how thin they are, how many blades there are, all that sort of thing. And it does a pretty good job. I didn't see a whole lot of thermal throttling when doing benchmarks, which is expected. I mean, this is not supposed to be the top-of-the-line HP home and gaming laptop, so we're not expecting it to play Cyberpunk 2077 on high for 2 hours without thermal throttling some, right? But for your average normal use cases, for games that aren't as psycho-demanding as Cyberpunk, for example, you can actually game on this. You got a 3060, it may not be the most high wattage 3060 in the world, but you know, you can certainly, if you like older games or casual games, it's definitely good. For doing things like Adobe Premiere or Photoshop, it's wonderful. The performance is fine, and the noise is not bad on this. So what about battery life? Intel 12th Gen Alder Lake is fairly power efficient. Now, again, this will depend on which configuration you get. Like we have the worst case scenario here with the OLED 4K plus display and NVIDIA RTX 3060 graphics. But anyway, 83 watt-hour battery. That's a pretty good capacity battery. And oddly, it's a bigger capacity battery than you would get if you went with the HP Envy 17.3-inch model. Go figure. This is actually more powerful also compared to the bigger model. So, worst case scenario there, I unplugged doing light productivity work, streaming video, that sort of thing. I was getting like 8 hours, which isn't bad, with the display set to 200 nits. And again, power hungry OLED here and all that sort of thing. Nice. So if you went with a less powerful configuration, maybe the Intel Arc GPU or a Core i5, I don't think the Core i5 is going to make that much of a difference. Probably the Intel GPU just might. You can get longer. And if you try a little bit, you know, lower your brightness and set down some of the performance things, you probably could get 9 hours on this in light work. Now, if you're doing something heavy or if you're playing games, obviously your run times will be shorter, but that's fairly respectable given the power of this laptop. You get a 200-watt charger on board, and it is HP's usual, sort of like a black candy bar look. I don't know how else to describe it. It has a barrel pin connector, because being 200 watts, well, that's way more than USB-C can deliver over power. I mean, you can plug in USB-C, but you won't be able to charge it as quickly. Speaking of that, you do have Thunderbolt 4 on board, as you would expect, in addition to those lovely legacy ports. All right, so you want to see those new improved internals? Let's do that. Taking it apart is not too bad. There's exposed Torx T5 screws. There are 5 of them total, so no pulling up rubber feet and stuff like on HP Spectre models. However, you're going to start to pry it off from the back, and it's on there, folks. So that's going to take a little bit of work to take off this bottom metal cover. And inside here we see the battery taking up most of the space right here at the front, which is normal for laptops. And we have quad stereo speaker drivers here, Bang & Olufsen branded. They do sound pretty good, pretty nice sound. So we've got 2 of them that fire down. Obviously that's for more for your bass tuning, and the other 2 fire upward. So here is a large cooling system right here with a cooling plate, and we've got our 2 fans on board. Now that is the Wi-Fi card right there. It is socketed in case you want to upgrade it. Our M.2 SSD is here under nice. It's a copper heatsink. Now this will set off people's OCD though, because it is intentionally mounted at a bit of an angle. It is not straight. And lo and behold, there is actually a second slot here. So you should be able to add a second SSD if you need to expand storage. Yay! And under this heat shield here, we have the RAM. And again, there's 2 slots on board. Now this cover, boy, the clips holding this little heat shield on are tight, let me tell you. So you're going to have to work your way around with a very, very fine-bladed slot head screwdriver or something to carefully pry that up to get to your 2 RAM slots if you need to upgrade your RAM at some point. So that's the HP Envy 16 for 2022. As always, I like the Envy line if you watch my videos. I think that what you get for the price is quite nice, and you're getting a very posh laptop without paying astronomical prices. Anything that runs from $1,400 to around $1,750 and has this level of performance, this quality of display, this build quality, and Intel H series processors for performance is pretty darn good. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.